الحمد لله الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد وقال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله صدق الله العظيم. Just as our physical safety is very important, especially in the pandemic, we've taken extra measures to protect ourselves. Just as our physical safety is very important, and everyone agrees with that, more important is the safety of our iman. So our iman is, the safety of our iman is very important, not just for ourselves, but for our family members, for our community, for our Muslim brothers and sisters throughout the world. And the safety of our iman is very important. But unfortunately, the situation that we find in the Muslim Ummah today is that we are all concerned about our own selves. It's become a world wherein it's a dog-eat-dog world. No one cares about the person that's next to them. No one cares about what's happening throughout the world. But what's important is that we have concern about our iman, and we have concern about the iman of our family members, of our community. And that's something very important to understand, because the journey that we are going through in life is that the destination is that we want to enter into Jannah. Each and every single person desires that he enters into Jannah. And not only that, the concern that we should be having is that we enter into Jannah and we take as many people as we can into Jannah. It's not a matter of being selfish, that I'm only concerned about myself. It should be a concern that my iman, what level is my iman on, and how can it be that I enter into Jannah and I take as many people as I can into Jannah. And that's something, unfortunately, what's happened is that we've become content with our iman. That, alhamdulillah, I'm reading my 5 times daily salah. It's all well and good. I'm giving my zakah, I'm going for hajj. It's all well and good. But what about our Muslim and brothers and sisters, our own family members that we are seeing on a daily basis that they are heading towards the hellfire? Who's making fikr? Who's making worry? Who's got that concern that I am seeing my own brother, I am seeing my own sister, I'm seeing my own family members, they are doing haram, they are doing something against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm seeing my neighbor, I'm seeing my friend heading towards the hellfire. And what concern am I making? I ask myself this question, that what concern am I making? Or has it become such that we see people within our community, within our families, they are doing something haram, they are doing something wrong, whether it be drugs, whether it be alcohol, whatever it may be, and do we start labeling them? Do we start saying that, this guy, he's into his alcohol, he's into his drug, now we start labeling him as a sharabi and a kababi? And that's unfortunately, that's what's happening within the Muslim, every community that you go to. That's what's happening. That those people that are, unfortunately, the youngsters are involved in haram, be it alcohol, be it drugs, whatever it may be, we've started to label them. And there's no real fikr. Brothers are making fikr, brothers are making concern, but we need to up it a level. That, how can I make genuine fikr? How can I have genuine concern that my Muslim brother, he's heading towards the fire of hell? How can I make it that he goes away from the fire of hell and enters into Jannah? And this is something important to understand, and I give this example all the time. That if my son, 4 or 5 year old son, he's heading towards the fire, or my 2-year-old son, he's heading towards the fire, the stove, or whatever it may be. If I see him heading towards the fire, am I just going to sit here and say that, beta, don't go near the fire, don't go near the fire? Am I going to sit here? No, what I will be doing is that I will stand, if I'm sitting down, I will stand up, I will run towards him, I will grab him, I will take him away from the fire, and I will explain to my young child that, beta, this is the fire, don't go near the fire, otherwise you're going to get burnt. And this is the same fikr and the same worry and concern that we should be having about our iman and the iman of our family members and our community. It should be that we are united on one platform, united with one intention, that how can I enter into Jannah, how can I go to paradise and take as many people as I can into Jannah. And the reality is that when hidayah and guidance is written for someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will work in mysterious ways to guide that person. Our job is that we make the effort. We go to that person, we explain to that individual, be it our spouses, we explain to them, be it our children, we explain to them. But when hidayah is written, guidance is written, we can only be a means of that person coming towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you an example from my own community. One elder, he's about 50 years old. I've not seen this individual in the masjid for approximately about over 3 years. I've not seen this individual since I started working in that place. I've not seen that individual in the masjid. And all of a sudden, this individual, he started coming to the masjid. He started coming for Isha, he started coming for Fajr. And then one day, he after Fajr, he spoke to me and he said that, Imam Sahib, can I speak to you for a few minutes? And that's the life of an Imam. After Fajr, someone says, can I speak to Imam Sahib for a few minutes? You have to give them those few minutes. Anyways, those few minutes turned to 2 hours. And the brother was talking to me and he was telling me about his personal issues and his problems. And a few things he was saying that I'd like to share. One thing he was saying was that he was trouble sleeping at night. He was having trouble sleeping at night. He'd sleep a 1 hour, 2 hour, ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This individual, he said, I just can't sleep at night. 1 hour, 2 hour, I'm waking up. And then he told me that he's going to the doctors can't tell him anything. And what he said, that's the reason I started coming for Isha, Fajr, and he said that I've always had this concern to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, that's why I started coming to the masjid, start trying to read my salah. Then I gave him some advice. Then he said to me that, you know what, I've not read Jummuah for so many years. Just in my shop, I'm working, I've not read Jummuah for so many years. Then he told me that, his personal issues, he started saying that, his children, they're all grown up now, and, he's not given them time when they were in their youth, etc. He told me his normal problem. Then he rang me a week later on the day of Jummuah. And he rang me in the morning, and he said that, Moulana, what time is Jummuah? So I told him the time. He said, okay, I'll come off from work, and I'll take a shower, and I'll come to the masjid. So he came to the masjid. The Jummuah, after so many years, he came to the masjid. He read Jummuah, and then he met me at Isha time and he said, can I speak to you for a few minutes? Then he said to me that I've been going to the doctors for weeks and months and they can't tell me what's wrong. He said, today I came for Jummuah, I got a phone call during Jummuah, then I left Jummuah, I looked at my phone, it was a doctor, and the doctors rang me and they said that we've done your blood test and now we've come to the conclusion that he had diabetes, and because of those type 2 diabetes, he can't sleep at night because he has to keep on going to the toilet. And he said this may be the barakat and the blessing of coming to Jummuah. And he said that since the masjids opened in 2014, he said, I'm not read Jummuah. 2014 is 2020. For 6 years, this individual, he said to me, I'm not read Jummuah. And these are the people that Allah, they're within us, within our community. But unfortunately, what's happened is that we have labeled them, we have named them, we have shamed them. There's people in our community that have left the fold of Islam. It's a reality. Speak to your imams, speak to your scholars. They have left the fold of Islam. They don't want to be recognized as Muslim. You speak to them, you say salam, they won't give you a reply. And these are our brothers, our sisters that are heading towards the fire of hell. And yet we've labeled them, we've named them, we've shaped them. Just think to ourselves and ask ourselves the question that if someone was to walk in the masjid right now and he was to be in a state, he was drunk, he was an alcoholic, what would you and I do? What would you and I do? We'd probably kick this person out of the masjid. That how dare you come in the masjid whilst you're in a state that you're drunk? If someone was, selling drugs or whatever they're doing, that these things are happening within our communities. And we need to tackle these issues that are out there. But we can only do that, coming back to my first point, that we work on our iman and we become unified. One ummah, we come together, we have a vision, we have a goal, that how can it be that I enter into Jannah and I can take as many people as I can to Jannah with me. And that will only come when we have true fikr, true concern. Like I mentioned, we've become too content. There's things happening out there. Someone texted me a few months ago. A mother, she texted me and she said that, can you talk to my child about, marriage, etc. 7-year-old child. She said that my 7-year-old daughter came home and she was asking me about a man marrying a man. And she said, what do I do? She said, what do I do? She said, I don't have enough knowledge. And these things are happening within our community. There's many issues that we need to tackle. But the bottom line is that because, alhamdulillah, in our community, we are seeing that the masajid are packed. Alhamdulillah, so much good is taking place. But what we need to do is that we need to become unified. We have an intention, we have a goal that, because what's happening is that the environment out there is affecting us it's affecting our children, it's affecting everybody here. There's so much happening in our communities in Preston that we need to tackle. But it only come when we have this intention, when we have this goal. That again, coming back to that first point, make fikr, make worry, make concern about our own iman. And just one example I give. When I used to go Jummuah many years ago, the elders used to say that, you know what, there was a time where we couldn't go outside on the streets like this, we would be ashamed. You know, the sisters, they were afraid to wear the parda. Only when I moved out from my own community of Preston, and my wife we're in a community where it's very few Muslims, she told me that when she started to drop my son off to school, she said that when she was walking down the street, she had the parda, she would go to school, she would drop my child off. She said people on the first day were screaming. She said people were jumping back because they'd never seen a lady in parda. And she said, she came home and said, it's difficult. He said, the kids are asking their parents, like, what's she wearing? Alhamdulillah, in our community, we don't really have that. But once we move out, then we understand what effort needs to be made. Because we've become content. Once we move out, we understand. She was saying that it's so difficult. I said, imagine how the elders felt when they first came here, that where they wanted to wear the jubba, and they wanted to wear the parda, the sister, how difficult it was. And that's only then we understand that we need to make fikr about our own iman, and together we make fikr about and worry and concern about the iman of our society, our community, our friends and families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the reality and allow us to work towards Jannah and take as many people as we can towards Jannah and away from the fire hell. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الحمد لله ذي الملك والملكوت والعزة والهيبة والجبروت أدب الخلائق دأب المعاشرة وندبهم إلى الملاطفة والمكاشرة أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الملك المعبود وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله الحامل المحمود صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه إلى يوم الموعود. أما بعد، فيا معشر الإخوان، علمنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم آداب المعاشرة بين العباد، منها حقوق المسلم على المسلم، فتزودوا بأدائها ليوم التناد، فمنها ألا نؤذي مسلما بفعل أو قول. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: المسلم من سلم المسلمون من لسانه ويده. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: لا يحل لمسلم أن يهجر أخاه فوق 3 أيام. رواه البخاري. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم، فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله مسبغ النعم ومسوغ القسم والمنفرد بالقدم وبارئ النسم وموجدنا بعد العدم وباعث العظام الهامدة والرمم والمخالف بين الهيئات والشيم بحكمة تاهت في فهمها عقول ذوي الحكم. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي أرسل بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين، خصوصا على أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أمير المؤمنين سيدنا علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى سيدينا الحسن والحسين رضي الله تعالى عنهما، وعلى أمهما سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء رضي الله تعالى عنها، وعلى عميه سيدينا حمزة والعباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما، وعلى الستة الباقية من العشرة المبشرة، وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأعز وأجل وأهم وأتم وأكبر. Brothers are kindly requested to straighten the rows, stand shoulder to shoulder, ensure there are no gaps in between. Also, a kind reminder to all the brothers to switch off their mobile phones or to put them on silent so there are no disturbances in prayer.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر ولله الحمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربيانا صغيرا. اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربيانا صغيرا. اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربيانا صغيرا. اللهم إنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.